Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon. It's the Earthmaster here on this Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. A lot of 23s in there. It is about 11:45 a.m. here along the west coast in California, where we got a pretty significant storm system coming into the area, bringing with it some blizzard warnings down in Los Angeles County area up in the mountains, seeing a very rare event, snow event down there. Also for us here in Northern California, looking at some significant snowfall and rain as well. Latest earthquake here, a 2.8 coming into the area of Turkey. Still seeing some aftershock activity really ramping up there, specifically in that area. Looks as though the migration of the movement here has shifted back to the Turkey area. Of course, yesterday we did see that 6-pointer, 6.8, along with several other aftershocks around the Tajikistan, excuse me. And looks like today, though, things still active in this area. Let's go ahead and check out the dynamics here across the board. Stand by for a second as we look at the USGS map here. There's a movement here in the Tajikistan area. Quite a few fours overnight. Looks like the activity, though, the brunt of it has kind of halted around 3:30 in the morning my time. With an uptick in movement here and smaller quakes across the Turkey area. Now, the USGS only showing 4.0 and above for the international community. But as you can see here on the globe, there's quite a few newer colored rings here, the white colored rings, indicating some newer earthquake activity compared to the region here across the east. Quite a few 2s and 3s. And even a couple, I at least see one 4.9 in there, but the majority of it appears to be the below the 4.0 threshold. But there's a lot, quite a bit of movement kicking up here across this area today of Turkey. And also areas to the west. Romania did see a 2.5 coming in here earlier, just within the last hour or so. Also some movement across the Mediterranean Sea area. USGS here is reporting that 4.9 from this morning, 10 kilometers deep. But remember, there's quite a bit of other earthquake activity across the region here. All right, the area of South America, still seeing quite a few earthquakes as well. This is another area that's seen a pretty good uptick and cluster of activity here. Quite a few 2s and 3s up and down the board here of the Peru-Chile Trench. Some of it deep, some of it shallow. Watching that area specifically for some further movement. Considering we did see some activity out here in the Pacific Ocean over the last 24 hours. This is a divergent boundary along the Pacific Plate and the Nazca Plate over here. The Nazca Plate, of course, being subducted underneath the South America region. When we see divergent boundary earthquakes out here, that tends to put stress and pressure out here along the subduction zone. So we'll continue to watch that for some further movement. Also some activity off the coast here of the Nicaragua area. It looks like some 4s. Let's see what we got up here. No, USGS not coming in on that again. They do have one earthquake off the coast of Mexico here in the northern East Pacific Rise just after midnight. But there is some activity, as noted here on the globe, taking place across the southern end of the Middle America Trench. South America region today looks, or the Puerto Rico area, excuse me, looks fairly calm. Only a small handful of quakes, and this is the all magnitudes map, I believe. Yep. And the USGS will show some of the smaller quakes here, but just doesn't look like there is any. Not a whole lot taking place there across the Puerto Rico area. Eastern portion of the country, southern plains, all very quiet. We've seen a pretty much a dead spell in terms of earthquakes here recently over the last couple days into the states. So not for sure what's going on there, but it's awfully quiet. Into the Pacific Northwest, we did see a 2.4 just south of Seattle into a populated region. This earthquake was felt, I believe. Let me see here. It has been reviewed. Actually, it doesn't look like it was felt. Oh, there we go. 19 kilometers deep. That would explain the lack of did you feel it reports. If this was a much shallower earthquake, a 2.4 can be reported or can be felt there at the surface areas. But either way, 19 kilometers deep for that. Some other earthquake activity. And looks like maybe a little explosion here being reported yesterday in this area as well. All right, Oregon, pretty quiet. Northern California, Of course, we've got that low pressure system spinning off the coast here. Sometimes pressure systems can play a part on plate tectonics, but it doesn't look like this one's affecting it at all. A 2.3 near the Ferndale area last night, the latest quake here within this region, and do have some activity here along the coastal range fault systems. Nothing major, just a Clear Lake volcanic field with the Calpine hydrothermal operations ongoing there. The Bay Area, pretty quiet, expecting some colder temperatures, some rain, and some low elevation snow in that area as well. Looks like near the Prunedale area of California, 1.6. Very shallow earthquake activity here today, just on the west side of the plate boundary. Southern California, where we got that blizzard warning just north of the Los Angeles area, up around the San Gabriel Mountains. These guys are getting some much needed precipitation and snowfall up there, down there I should say. Long Beach, what do we got going on out here? 2.1 and a 1.5 near the Rolling Hills Estate. This is coming off of the Palo Verdes fault system, it looks like. It's a, yeah, there's a couple different segments here. Kind of looks like it's specifically on that one. And further down south, movement along the San Jacinto fault zone. That's going to be this segment that kind of parallels with the San Andreas fault here to the east. Although no major swarms, no major movement out here along the west coast currently. In fact, all of the states look fairly quiet for now. Up into Alaska, about the same, very typical movement across the Cook Inlet area. Did see some further activity over here this morning along the Aleutian Trench, 25 kilometers deep for a 4.0. And the Western Pacific Ring of Fire here along the Japan area, Izu Trench, appears to be very quiet. Now, let's see what we got here. We do have a 3.9 or 3.8 just off the coast here of Japan. Looks like about 50 kilometers deep. That's being reported by the EMSC model. And some further movement down south of the Philippines. A little bit of activity into the Java Trench as well. Starting to cluster up a little bit around the Molucca Sea. These areas do see quite a bit of earthquake activity. New Zealand looks, oh goodness, fairly quiet down there. Nothing to report. A 4.9 from last night. A pretty deep earthquake. Nothing really showing up though since then. That's a little on the odd side. Let's see what we got here for the GeoNet servers. Why do I have problems? Why do I always... Ooh, goodness. Let's see. Here we go. I'm just going to add them as a tab. I got to do that here soon. Let's see. All magnitudes. Not a whole lot going on. Looks like some 2s and some smaller quakes out there. North and South Island, New Zealand. I'm not seeing any larger quakes or anything moderate. There was a 4.6, it looks like, 7 hours ago. 224 kilometers deep along a portion of the Kermadec Trench. Although the folks there at the EMSC model not showing that earthquake that is up here. It's not going to be this one. This one's positioned way up around the Fiji area. But it should be right about here, and we're not seeing that. So not for sure what's going on there. But GeoNet reporting it. The other agencies, not so much. Volcano drums here across the area of New Zealand. Looks fairly calm. Not a whole lot of movement to take note of here across the area of New Zealand. Let's see what else we got. Big Island, Hawaii has been kind of a quiet zone out here recently as well. About 10 earthquakes out around the Pahala area. Very typical movement across the southeastern edge there of the Big Island. Yellowstone National Park. Just double check that because sometimes these guys get left out. And up there doesn't look like any major earthquake activity occurring. Things look relatively calm. Maybe a couple spikes of a small earthquake activity here over the last couple hours, but that's about it. Let's see, space weather activity. As we look at the solarham.net site, things are relatively stable, it appears. We did have a couple small C flares kicking up overnight, almost reaching. There's one that reached into the M flare category, and I'm sure it's from this sunspot that is turning into view up here. This one's looking fairly dynamic. Look at these arches here in the imagery. the polarities here of the magnetic field lines. Very awesome feature. This one looks like it's getting ready to pop off a significant flare. Let's see what we got for the structure. That's going to be 3234. The latest imagery. Oh yeah, this thing's getting huge, and it's growing, getting fairly unstable here. We've got to watch this. It is getting further into position here of the Earth view direction. Here's our former sunspot that produced the, well, it's still a sunspot, but it did produce the X2.2 last week. It is now deteriorating and going away, but this one right here looks very promising. There's a lot of intermixing here with the sunspot regions. That's going to be a good one, I believe, and it is facing the Earth. Very close to, directly facing the Earth, but if anything should pop off or as a major CME, then we're looking at geo-effective conditions here. Again, this one's a growing sunspot, and it looks like it wants to throw out a large flare. We'll continue to watch that. 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 50, 10% chance for an X flare. Again, 3234 harbors a beta gamma class. That's a pretty complex system there, and that's the one that's going to harbor the most for the X flare probability. But it's growing. Just looking at it, it's getting there. Got to watch it pretty closely. Coronal holes are facing us, or at least about ready to. Number 79 here will be center disk, lined it. Well, it is center disk, but lined up directly here with the Earth view, and we should see enhancements to the 3-day geomagnetic forecast in the coming week. Right now, things pretty green across the board, indicative of fairly calm conditions out there in the solar weather department in that state of things. But again, things can change in the blink of an eye. That is a massive sunspot, and it's got some good potential there to throw off a good flare. So we'll watch that. Weather conditions out there along the west coast, folks. Goodness, getting pretty active. We are still expecting snow out here in Northern California. Very low snow levels around the coast. Outside of Eureka, about 500 feet elevation is getting some snow. It's starting to stick on the ground. Now I'm going to bring up the NAM model, which is a little bit more accurate in terms of location and quantity. This is only going to go out a few hours here. The brunt of this system looks like it's going to come in after 7 or 8 o'clock here to the coast tonight. And then we're supposed to get our snowfall here around Chico, Redding area sometime early tomorrow morning, early Friday morning, probably between 4 to 7 a.m. And this is all going to be dependent on the timing. Let me go back here to a different model so we can at least go out to early Friday morning. Now, here in the Sacramento Valley, right around Chico area, we could get some thunderstorms later tonight with that colder air coming in. The green and yellow is rainfall. So we're expecting this to be rain overnight before a little bit of the colder air slides in behind the backside of that rain band. And I think for the most part, the western side of the valley here, of the Sacramento Valley around Willows, Orland area, Red Bluff, Redding, will see the brunt of any snowfall should it turn over from rain to snow. There's a fine line here of cold air and some warmer south winds that are kicking up. The southern winds will stay up along the eastern side of the Sacramento Valley where Chico is, Oroville, Gridley, Yuba City. So those folks may not see any snowfall due to the way this is set up. But the accumulated snowfall amount still shows, let's bring up this one right here, still shows this area right around, let's see here, we got Glenn County right here, Tehama County, Butte County. You can watch this kind of fill in here with some snowfall, and it seems as though, depending on how much of a south wind we have, because that will keep things warmer, But right along the west side of the valley and the northern end of Sacramento Valley, we'll be getting some decent snowfall, it looks like. Let's check out this one here, rain and thunder. New snow. Now this is going to be the EM or ECMWF model, again showing some snowfall rates out here. This looks a little bit less than what it did yesterday, but that's just one weather model. The GFS model still in agreement with some snowfall, although a little bit less in accumulated rates there. HRR model is one of the more accurate models, and this kind of pinpoints where areas may see snow and where they may not. But still here around Willows, that's actually quite impressive, 4 inches of snow, and it seems as though the further north you go, the more likelihood that snow will fall. But this here is actually rather interesting because this is a little pocket of obviously some cold air, but less moisture. That moisture may funnel directly where this darker green is, and some yellow in there. That's where some of the strongest snow could fall. Looks like Redding or Red Bluff. Redding may be out of it. They will get some snow, but it looks as though, at least according to the HRR model, that they may be lacking moisture for the snowfall event. So we'll do another update on this tonight. That'll put us basically within hours of the storm that is expected to arrive overnight. But still, looking pretty impressive. Again, the south wind here funneling in from the Bay Area. You know, the low pressure system's just offshore here. So with that type of setup counterclockwise, that's going to pull in some warmer air from the south and keeping these areas relatively above the freezing level. But right here, it's still showing us some significant snowfall, pending we don't get that south wind. Again, 4.3 inches outside of Willows, specifically here around the Chico area. There's pockets where we could only see maybe a trace of snow. Up around Paradise and Concal area, maybe a foot. That's what they're stating here on the HRR model. So we'll continue to watch this as it's a developing system. Satellite imagery out there. Let's see what we got here for the region. A lot of cold air. Notice these negative 26. That's going to be the cloud tops. But here's the low pressure system. Kind of got a comma, little hook type deal. Kind of looks like a mini hurricane. But it is bringing in quite a bit of colder air, and that is going to dip down due south here into this area. And bring with it, again, some much colder air. It's already cold out here, but bringing in some further colder air to re-enhance you know, the potential snowfall level out here. I will be up all night covering it. I do have a lot of schoolwork to catch up on, so this will be a great time for me to not only watch the weather, but also catch up on some schoolwork I need to do. So, hey, it's a win-win situation. And my sleep? Yeah, I'll get some sleep tomorrow sometime. We'll see how it plays out. I'm hoping for some significant snowfall out here in Northern Cal as this storm approaches. All right, folks, we are going to jump off here. Have yourself a beautiful day, and if you are out here in California like I am, and you're in an area that doesn't see a lot of snowfall in the wintertime, send me some pictures and we'll try and post it out here on the channel. earthmastermail@gmail.com is my email. Just send me the location, your elevation, and what you're seeing out there as far as the weather events go. Pretty crazy. It's definitely a cold storm. It's one of our more serious shots of seeing, you know, any snowfall down here in the Sacramento Valley. Occasionally we'll get, you know, some cold storms that gives us a possibility of seeing snow in the Sacramento Valley, but this one's got cold air reinforced by some moisture as well. So it's going to be this one, or it's going to be another 10 years from now. Who knows? We are coming up into the El Nino pattern towards the end of summer and probably lasting through winter. So our chances of snowfall diminish in those type of setups with the warmer ocean temperatures. So, alrighty, guys, have a good day. Stay safe out there. I'm going to drop these earthquakes a little bit. I think let's see here. This is just showing quite a few of the smaller ones. But all right, guys, have a good day. We'll catch you back here a little bit later tonight with further updates. Have a good one.